Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
As we draw closer to Independence Day, 4th of July weekend, and all the activities, here are some words to remember by former President Dwight D. Eisenhower. There is nothing wrong with America that faith, love of freedom, intelligence, and energy of her citizens cannot cure. Amen. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning on a Wednesday. The great voice of Kate Smith, and God bless America. Boy, what a beautiful day outside on a Wednesday, June the 28th. And a good morning to you and your family. I'm Zeb Bell. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Right now, without further ado, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to do my redneck version of the pledge this morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jerry, that was very well done, and I appreciate you, old buddy. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much.
You bet. You have a great day, and every one of them little children out there listening to your program this morning, may the Lord bless them and keep them safe and sound and keep them on the air.
All right, Jerry. Thank you so much. And right now it's time for the weather, and the weather's brought to us by our friends at K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 West of Hebron. Number to call, 678-3122. They open the doors early in the morning at 7 a.m. and stay open till 5:30, Saturday 7 to 2. And they've got all your tools, all your equipment, from forklifts to lawnmowers. And they've been in business since 1979. They can help you all the experience to help you get right tools for the right job. Okay, K&R Rental, and right now here's the weather forecast.
As we hit midweek, it's going to be nice, and it looks like we're going to hold steady on this nice weather as we get through the weekend. Looks like sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the west, right around 15 to 25 miles an hour. We do have a slight chance of some afternoon rain showers or thunderstorms for this afternoon. High of 80 tonight, clear skies, low of 50 tomorrow. Sunny skies, slightly breezy, and looking at a high of 78 with an overnight low of 49. Then as we get ready for the weekend on Friday, sunny skies, high of 84. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent forecast brought to you, everybody, by K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 West of Hebron. And by the way, they're a Honda engine dealer. All the parts you might need for wheel lines right there at K&R Rental. In Hebron, number to call, 678-3122. Well, a good morning to everybody, and we've got a great program lined up for today. We've got Bob Dvorak from back on the East Coast going to be coming on talking about patriotism in this country. Bob, of course, known as Bedouin Bob, and he was a war correspondent over in the Middle East. And then we have the president of the Americans for Limited Government talking about our energy programs in this country, Richard Manning. At 10:06, a lady that's been on this program before, Michelle C. Sealer Tucker, and she's going to be talking about why and how and why we're not offended by the South and political correctness taking down all these Civil War statues. And then at 10:32, John Legato talking about Robert Mueller and the investigation against Donald Trump. So there you go. And right now we're going to have some more of our good words. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, the number to remember, 678-0459. They're open at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday, for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. This is the place. This is the place right here, Ramsey Heating and Electric. And they've got all your air conditioning filters to keep you cool all summer long. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Calls, come on in. Time to open the phone lines, and let's get on in here this morning on a beautiful Wednesday as we start to wrap up the month of June and head towards Independence Day. Don't forget, too, what a treat for you and the family to stop over to Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Thomas and Terry, the whole crew. Holy cow, I mean, the menu choices are outstanding. Outstanding. You like breakfast like I do? Get in there. I'm going to tell you that last week at Lunch Bunch, I had those strawberry cream pancakes. Now, I'm not telling you just to eat what I ate, but it doesn't get any better than that. Oh, boy, they were good. And all the breakfast choices. I don't care if you're going in for ham and eggs, hot cakes, whatever you want. It's always delicious at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and also 291 Poline Road in Twin Falls. Denny's Restaurant, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and it is America's Diner. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, old buddy. How are we doing?
I'm good. What can I do for you, Keith?
Well, because our 4th of July holiday is coming up and everything, I thought I'd tell you this story that I heard. And we're always talking about ethnics and all that kind of stuff, but I thought this was kind of a neat story. Evidently, this gentleman had just came up here from Mexico. And being of Mexican descent, he didn't understand everything people said. But he evidently was in New York, and somebody invited him to the Yankees game in Yankee Stadium. And after he got in there and everything, he sat down and everything, all of a sudden, before the game started, everybody stood up and started singing, "Jose, can you see?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "This is what a country that I've come to. I love it."
Well, I tell you what, yes, I have heard that, Keith. Thank you very much. But, you know, to all the people that stand up and honor our flag, all the people that really cherish and relish everything that is a part of our Independence Day, 4th of July ceremonies and celebrations, God bless each and every one. And we're going to be talking more patriotism with Bob Dvorak in about an hour, so stay tuned for that. Keith, you and Nancy have a wonderful day and a great weekend. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Hey, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We are going to have a little story here about Senator Dick Durbin in Illinois. He's the Illinois senator from Illinois, back in Washington. And he will not, listen to this, he will not release the emails that were sent to his office by the baseball shooter of Steve Scalise. He won't release them. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They are there to serve you and help you feel better. With all the sports medicine, all the exercises, hydrotherapy pool. I've spent a lot of time in that hydrotherapy pool. Boy, it does help. They know they can help, and they can help you get back to being you. Nick Greenwell, all the physical therapists, absolutely the best. And I mean that. the best at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley. Number to call, make an appointment, do it today, 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. They are waiting right now for you. Oh, my goodness. Come on, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A lot of good things are going to be going on over at the Rupert 4th of July celebration. I mean, they're going to be having that great big Christmas in July breakfast coming up on June 30th, which is two days away. Don't forget that. They're going to have mutton busting at the fairgrounds on July 1st. They're going to have that huge, very nice patriotic program on Sunday the 2nd, featuring members of the Idaho 25th Army Band. They're going to have lawnmower races. They're going to have everything. Great food and entertainment at the Rupert 4th of July. Great big celebration. I mean, it is one of the best anywhere, anytime. Stop over and enjoy the great folks at the Rupert 4th of July celebration for 2017. All right, calls are welcome. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This story, it just absolutely intrigues me and it frustrates me because we had a couple of weeks ago, we were all in prayer and thoughts for House member Steve Scalise and the others that were shot and injured during a shooting spree that was primarily and only aimed at Republicans as they practiced for a baseball game between the GOP and the Democrats at the Washington National Stadium. Democratic Illinois Senator Dick Durbin's office will not, heavy emphasis on the word not, release reported email correspondence with the anti-GOP shooter James Hodgkinson. I can't understand this. If there's an investigation going on right now as to the who, what, where, why, and how of the shooting, and Durbin's office will not release reported emails, an Associated Press report that I just was handed and given information on this morning from Washington, D.C., it says Hodgkinson, the shooter, also visited the office of Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, whose campaign he had worked on as a volunteer. And he was in email contact with the two Democratic senators from his home state. And when the supplier of this information to me this morning, the Daily Caller back in Washington and New York, when the Daily Caller reached out to Senator Durbin's office, they got this comment. Mr. Hodgkinson contacted our office to state his opinion on a variety of legislation over the years. Those emails were all given to USCP and are part of the current investigation. But when the DC asked for more details, no response was received. Caller, what do you think about this? Give me a call.
Okay, Zeb, I'm on the air, I guess.
Yes, you are.
And I think that the Rupert Square celebration is probably one of the most patriotic and wonderful celebrations I've ever attended in my life. I don't know how any city could do a better job of representing this country and be more patriotic than Rupert does over the 4th of July. And I advise everybody that loves this country, please come out to the square. You will totally enjoy your stay. I'll get out of your way. You have a wonderful day.
All right, Jerry. Well stated. Well stated. You know, to go back to a little bit on Rupert, I've said that the atmosphere and the environment over in Rupert with that city square, much the same as what you saw during various movies, especially It's a Wonderful Life with James Stewart. You know, a lot of the activity on the town square and everything. That's exactly what happens over there, and I can't brag enough on the way that that square brings so many people of so many backgrounds together with a common cause of celebration of our Independence Day and the 4th of July. And kudos to everybody over there. I mean, that bandstand, the way the square is set up, and the music and the food booths and everything, you're just going to feel like you're home. when you go to that Rupert 4th of July. Calls are welcome, 436-2244. What do you think about Durbin's office and the Democrats kind of holding back on some information with the shooter in Virginia? And your thoughts. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I have just a moment, I want to remind you, too, about our dear friends at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. Nice people. And they really care. You know, they're the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and they invite you to stop by anytime, take a tour, visit the facility for your loved one. So there you go. Easy to find, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. You be sure and give them a call today and stop over. 436-3200, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center in Rupert. Really nice people. I think they're going to be on the program with us, a segment tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Deanne's got that all set up. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call. In other news, Bernie Sanders, big old Bernie. Feel the burn, Bernie? Bernie Sanders and his wife may be, underline the words may be, in a lot of trouble with the FBI over money situations on a loan of buku millions prior to the election. Now, according to CBS News, both Sanders and his wife are under investigation by the FBI for loans that Jane Sanders obtained while she was the president of Burlington College. Ooh. Oh, Bernie with his free college. I wonder how that's working out for him. Jane Sanders served as a president of that college from 2004 to 2011, and she is accused of bankrupting the college by falsifying a loan application. Now, CNN host Aaron Burnett asked Sanders whether or not he knew his wife was being investigated by the FBI. And old Bernie angrily responded that the allegations against his wife must be politically motivated because, he said, my wife is about the most honest person I know. Bernie, for all the years you've been married, you didn't phrase that sentence correctly. You should have said, my wife is the most honest person I know. You shouldn't have said, is about the most honest person I know. And then he went on to say, all I will tell you now is that it is a sad state of affairs in America. You not only have politicians being destroyed publicly, when you go after people's wives, that is pathetic. Well, she may turn out to be a crook, and the FBI is investigating. And a reporter for Fox News asked Sanders Monday if he still thought the probe into his wife's politically motivated and for her taking out the loan. And he said, well, I'm glad that you're interested in the fact that the Republican leadership is proposing legislation which would throw millions of people off of health insurance. That answer had nothing to do with the allegations against Bernie and his wife and the FBI probe. That's just kind of like a cat in a sandbox covering it up. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I want to remind you about our dear friend, the doctor of audiology, and that's Dr. Christine Pickup, and she is all ready for you. And I'll tell you what, if you haven't had a hearing screening, and you're worried about it, don't be. It's almost a lot of fun. And really, I enjoyed taking that hearing screening. And it pointed out that I had some problems in my right ear, and problem solved and rectified. She is excellent. Dr. Christine Pickup, a doctor of audiology, and it might be medicine related. It could be health related. It could be any number of reasons or facts as to why your hearing is diminished. But she can find out, and she can help. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Number to call, 312-0957. Right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. By the way, I also want to remind you folks, on Mondays, we have a cookie giveaway of a dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right there on the square. What a bakery. What a restaurant. Oh, Rupert, you're blessed. And all you have to do is be a first-time winner. I don't take multiple winners. We're going to keep it even for everybody. And call and answer the question. You might be the winner of those great cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Thank you very much. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. You know, it was really kind of funny that politicians in general, and this is really being proven almost every day, politicians seem to have a problem remembering what they did, what they said, and how they reacted to various questions, and they forget the big fact that most all of the national scene of politicians are on videotape, and their answers are going to be recorded forever. Hold on, caller. I'll be right there, I promise. In Obama's case, I've got to get this in. Excuse me. In regards to the Russian hacking, do you remember back in October of 2016 when Barack Obama himself said, and I'm paraphrasing some of the words here, but the gist is the same as what was stated, no serious person would believe that the Russians could hack our elections. There is no evidence. And then at the end of his little diatribe, Obama looked at the cameras and he said, "Stop whining, Trump." And the reason I think this was said is because Obama and the rest of the Democrats, including Hillary and everybody else, thought Hillary was going to win by a landslide. And it didn't happen. Now they're reversing their roles and going and grasping for straws of excuses that they look for and try to find anywhere. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, the shoe seems to fit on either foot that you put it in, right?
Yeah, that's right.
According to them. But on this Bernie Sanders deal, I had heard on the news, and I don't know whether it's a fact or not, but I'd heard in the beginning that this money that is in question here that was borrowed was for his campaign. And his wife had exaggerated enormously on the value of the collateral.
Oh, yes. I mean, I stated that the other day on the program. There were misstatements about collateral and backing and the protection of the loan. And here's what the FBI said. The FBI is reportedly looking into whether Jane Sanders falsified loan documents while she served as the president of Burlington College. The small Vermont liberal arts school closed down in May of last year, 2016, after going bankrupt and failing to meet accreditation standards. Boy, I mean, this could be a little bit more than a small can of worms for Bernie and his lovely wife, Jane.
Do you suppose that this money was used for his campaign?
No, I'm not in the business of speculation. No, I only deal in facts. And when the facts come out, then I'll report on the facts. But for me to speculate, you to speculate, I don't think that's right. We can talk about the story. We can say, well, what about if this is true or sever? I'm not going to give speculation on this because I'm going to stick with what the FBI is investigating. I'm going to stick with what they already know. And then, if need be, I'm going to hammer them.
Very good.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Pray that you'll stick to your guns.
All right. You have a great day. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Your turn. Come on. Don't let me down. Give me a call. I'd sure appreciate it. Yesterday, a dear friend that I have not seen for over 52 years. I'm not exaggerating. We were in high school together. And Rick Lehman and Sandy are here and visiting, and it's a real blessing. 52 years, and we started to catch up on the old times, and we got a whole bunch more catching up to do. And I'm going to see if, Deanne, can you kind of coerce Rick into coming on here for a little bit? We'll see if we can't get him in the studio and talk for a while. Barry Equipment and Rental Sales, Service and Parts, South Lincoln in Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They have all the equipment to get the job done, and they've got a great big sandbox out behind the business so that you can sit there and try the equipment so you know what you're doing. My goodness, does he look fresh as a daisy this morning? Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. They've got all the rentals, all the retail equipment sales, and of course, too, they've got those Walker lawnmowers. 0% interest for 48 months. Mow like the pros do, and stop and see those folks in South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Rick, you got to get real close to that microphone. It's not on yet. I got to turn it on. I'm old and slow. And you can put those headsets on. Rick Lehman, formerly, like me, from Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, and now living in Colorado Springs. How are you, my dear friend?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm great.
Get Wonderful. A little closer. Long way from Fort Atkinson for both of us.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the mileage is from here, but we've got about 8,000 miles on the trip right now.
You went to Alaska?
Yes, we did.
With a truck and a trailer.
Yep.
And I got to ask you, I've heard that a lot of people going to Alaska, they say, woo, sometimes the roads aren't that good. What were the status of the roads up there?
The roads were not too bad. I mean, you got a lot of freeze from the permafrost and whatnot, and, the permadips or whatever you want to call them.
Permadips?
Well,
that sounds like you're talking about the Democrats, but go ahead.
Permanently, yes. Anyhow, no, they are what they are.
Yeah.
And the crews up there are working on them quite a bit, quite often, and do a good job. Sometimes the signage isn't what you'd like to see, but you just drive appropriately.
So in other words, what you're telling me on signage, if it says road closed, it might be after the road has already been closed down the roadways, or what?
No, sometimes, too close to the curve. You need to slow down ahead of time, or maybe there's some road construction up ahead. But no, it hasn't been bad. I hit a few potholes, but it wasn't bad.
Let me ask you, my weatherman used to work and live up in Alaska.
Okay.
The weatherman I used to have on this program. Is it, in many regards, still a very primitive state compared to the other states down here below?
Well, when you say weather, weather was great.
No, primitive as far as the actual what's going on up there, the wild woolly west, and a lot of it that may be still unsettled.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of unsettled property up there.
Yeah.
I suspect that most of it's national forest, either Yukon Territory or British Columbia is where we went up through, and then way to the, quite a ways up Alaska. We did not run the Hall Road, the Dalton Highway. We went to it, but it's about an 8-hour run one way, and I didn't want to waste 2 days going up and coming back. So,
what is it like when you plan a trip to go up there? Did you call somebody? Did you get some semblance of what to see, what route to take, etc.? I mean, how did you plan your trip up there?
Well, this has been a bucket list for many, many years. And
really?
After I retired, I said, well, now I'm going to do it. So I bought a trailer and started planning. But there's a thing called a milepost, which you can get. It's a milepost by milepost, where you can find fuel and lodging and RV camps and sights to see, whether you're in Whitehorse or Anchorage. Of course, we had to chase the salmon, and we got some halibut. And did
just for the halibut, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But when you get up there in that country, and I know I've talked to Michael on this many times and other people that have been up there, it's still a pretty wild state up there, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. They got more trees up there than any place I've ever seen. I mean,
did you see any big grizzlies?
Not until we got to a refuge,
Really?
where one of the gals said she thought she'd seen a grizz. We saw lots of bears and bison and moose all over the place, but it took me about 3 weeks to find bullwinkle. There was one that had antlers about 3 weeks into it. Not a whole, not great big, but they were out by the road.
When you talk about gas stations and places to have your truck serviced, et cetera, in case there's a breakdown, few and far between or relatively close?
Well, no, they're few and far between because there's a lot of stretches where you don't have. You better top off every time you get a chance. Run on the top half of your tank.
Yeah.
So that's the safest way to do it, which we did.
Long way and a long time, 52 years from Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, right?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of changes, and unfortunately, your hair's the same color as mine.
Yeah, at least we have it.
Yeah, right. A lot of our classmates don't.
The bad news is we've got gray hair. The good news is we've got grandkids.
Yeah, there you go. Now, what are you doing? Are you retired, living in Colorado Springs right now?
Yes, I am.
That's a beautiful part of the country, too.
Yeah, I've been out there since 1969. Moved out from Wisconsin. I got a little tired of the cold and the snow and moved out to a drier climate. Everybody says Colorado has snow. Well, that's mostly up in the mountains. We do get storms down on the Front Range. We're about 6,000 feet just below Pikes Peak.
Rick, and you and I both have talked about this. We grew up in the environment back in Wisconsin, but the winters back there when we were growing up, 3 feet, 4 feet, drifts 7, 8 feet. Those are some pretty tough places to live in the winter.
Pretty serious. The snow, the snow that comes down in October is still there back in March.
Yeah.
It's just deeper.
Remember all the football games? Old Fort Atkinson High School used to be the Cardinals, now the Blackhawks. And sometimes in the latter part of the season, you were sitting on the bleachers and you were a little bit chilly.
Oh, yeah.
And the snow could fall easily at that time of the year.
Hot cider.
Oh, yeah. When you go to Alaska, what was the difference in the weather as compared to down here? Is it where you went further north, colder climbs, short days? Tell us a little bit about that.
Short days? No, actually they were long days because the 21st of June is the longest day of the year, and actually we did not see very many stars up there.
Really?
If you were looking for the North Star, you'd still be looking because it stayed so light up there at night that you couldn't really see the stars.
Yeah.
So that's just part of the program.
So your bucket list of going to Alaska, checked it off, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What's next?
Gonna go to Rome.
Rome?
Yeah, I want to get blessed by the Pope before I die.
Oh my goodness sakes! You seriously are going to go to Rome?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness! You're going to take a boat or an airplane?
No, I'll fly.
You're going to fly?
Yeah.
Okay. I had no idea that was your next bucket list item.
That's about all I have on there. That and then be good to my grandkids. I got 8 beautiful little grandkids. I'm a lucky man.
Oh, you are. I've got 5. Now, you've got a difference, though. I've got all grand boys. You've got some granddaughters.
3 boys and 5 girls.
Oh, my goodness sakes. And what states are they in?
They're all in Colorado.
I see.
I've got my boys and their wives are in Colorado Springs, and my daughter and her hubby are up in Denver.
I
so
see.
That's only an hour and a half away.
You have done something I have not done because of my schedule. I haven't had an opportunity to go back and partake of any of the class reunions.
Oh, they're fun.
Have you gone to almost all of them?
No, I've gone to probably the last 5 or 6 in 5-year spans.
Really?
Okay? And it's fun because I have to look at the class, what am I trying to think?
The picture?
The yearbook.
Yearbook.
Okay.
Oh.
And try and figure out what we would look like 50 years hence.
Oh my goodness.
And you walk into a room and say, "Hi, how are you?" And you don't know who you're talking to.
Now, I got to be really honest with you. You were very helpful in getting me some information on our 50th a couple of years ago.
I wanted you there. I almost came out to get you, but I knew I'd lose.
I wished I could have, but I was, again, on the road.
Uh-huh.
And
well, you had another big event going on.
I did. But I looked at the pictures of the classmates, and there were only 3 that I could recognize. Now, that doesn't bode well, does it? We changed a lot.
Yeah, but you haven't changed, not a bit. You might have gained a couple pounds.
Yeah.
I see you got glasses on now, but
occasionally.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
But when you go to those class reunions, I got to ask you, and you didn't know who they were. How did you break the ice, and what did you say?
I'm really sorry, but I must ask,
Who are you?
What class did we have together? No, I'd start with what class did we have together?
Really?
Maybe they would slip up. Oh yeah, you remember? No, I don't remember.
Oh, that's the hardest part. I've had people come up to me and say, "Well, I met you at the Denver airport in 1999," and I'm going, "Who are you?"
Terrific. I'm glad.
I'm glad. Yeah, but I wished I'd have stayed closer in touch with a lot of the students. And like every class, there's been some that have passed on.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And it's very unfortunate, but it's a part of life. And when are you going to go to another one? When are they going to have another one?
It's either on a 5 or a 0.
I see.
So, yeah,
okay.
We graduated in 65, so.
I did hear from Sarah Goodrich, and I can't remember her married name, and she said they were going to have somewhat of a gathering, I think, down in Wickenburg, Arizona this next February, when I'll be there.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. You ought to come on down.
When? February?
In February of 2018.
Yeah, it might be tolerable down there at that stage.
Oh, absolutely. It's beautiful. It's probably 65, 70 every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put it on my list.
I thank you for coming by, and we're going to have
I appreciate you having me.
We're going to have a little barbecue tonight and do a little cowboy playing in the arena and everything, and
a little horsing around.
Yeah, a little horsing around.
Okay.
And I'm going to finish up the rest of this first hour. And thanks, Rick. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
Rick
God
Lehman,
bless.
former high school buddy of mine from long time ago, 52 years. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome. 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. Come on, get on the phone, give me a call. Right now, Wheels, let's hear all about the Elko Silver State Stampede.
Grab your hat and kick up your heels as the Silver State Stampede thunders into Elko for 3 big nights, July 13th through the 15th, for family entertainment at its best. This PRCA-sanctioned event brings you the thrill of pro riders going head-to-head, then local cowboys trying their luck in the world-famous Ring of Fear, set to thrill audiences all 3 nights. Enjoy the kickoff party on Thursday with Old West bronc riding, mutton busting, trade show, mechanical bull, fantastic food and treats, live music with the Jeff Palmer Band, and so much more. Tickets are on sale now at Roy's, the J.M. Capriola Company, the Boot Barn, IFA, and the Elko Chamber Office. Make your plans now to be at the Elko County Fairgrounds for the thrills and spills for the 2017 Silver State Stampede. For more information, call 775-934-2392. The 2017 Silver State Stampede. Don't miss it.
Going to be a lot of fun, always is, and tomorrow I'm going to have Elkie Mariluch from Elko and the Silver State Stampede on my program. It's a big event. Get on down there. Don't forget, tomorrow on Thursdays we have a segment at 9:15, as I choke to death. 9:15, it's Time to Grow tomorrow on Thursdays with the University of Idaho Horticulture Department, Tony McCammon, and we really appreciate the effort he puts into that segment for 15 minutes every Thursday. It's Time to Grow, Tony McCammon. Don't miss that tomorrow morning. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. Wow, what did everybody do? Sleep in this morning? Come on, give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline. I noticed on the front page of the USA Today yesterday, the USA Today, of course, a very, very liberal newspaper, and they were highlighting the Supreme Court and some of the various stories that they're making judiciary pronouncements on. And, of course, the travel ban, and they did agree with Donald Trump on that 90-day travel ban. Justices announced that they are going to hear the case of a Colorado cake baker that refused to bake a cake for a gay wedding. We had all the principals and the parties involved in that case on our program about 6-8 months ago. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for your call.
Good morning.
Hi.
I'm talking saying hi to you, too.
Thank you.
Thank goodness it's not being in a 9-hour.
That's all right.
I'm calling to comment about class reunions. My husband and I graduated from Minneco together, and we have a wonderful person who loves to bring our class together, and we have had a class reunion every 10 years in Rupert, and the more we see each other, the more we love each other. You know, so many people say that they wouldn't go to a class reunion. Being in school with those kids for 4 years was enough. Our class just loves each other.
You know, Chris,
and we have so much fun.
I really wish that I had gone to any of them. But now here's the excuse that's legitimate. Most every time they've had a class reunion, including the 50th a couple of years ago, it's during the midsummer, and I'm on the road up until I retired here recently, announcing rodeos or special events all over the country, and I can't break away to be there. And so I've missed the opportunity to meet with my classmates.
We'll go the next time they have one, because you'll recognize people. They'll have to introduce themselves. But you know what? It's just one of the highlights of my husband's and my class, you know, our life. And we were homestead kids, you know, over on the Rupert Project, and many of us came from way away. They're not all Idahoans, but once you grew up in the Minidoka Project, you were an Idahoan.
You know,
and we just have such a great time.
How big a class did you have when you graduated from high school?
Well, guess what? We were the baby boomers. And we were the biggest class that graduated from Minico, and I think we were 250 at least.
Okay. Now, out of that 250...
I can't tell you for exactly sure. I hope my friend that always organizes our reunion would call up. But we were, you know, the baby boomers. I was born about 9 months after my dad got home from the Second World War.
Oh, my.
That was the case with almost all of my classmates.
Oh, my.
We were a big class.
Now, out of the, let's say, rounded off at 250 in your class, what percentage, 10%, 20%, 30%, 35%, whatever, what percentage left this area and moved away to do something else in another state?
Well, I have no idea. Maybe 50%.
Oh, wow.
But it is really interesting. The people who don't come are the ones that live locally.
Really?
And that is so maddening, because like you, if you're going to go home to one, you're hoping to see some of the people that you knew as a kid or whatever.
Absolutely.
And I don't know how, and our organizer, she's been doing this all of these 50 years, and she really keeps track of everybody, and so everybody knows it's coming up. But, you know, I guess going to a class reunion in some people's lives is not worth giving up their vacation.
Well, I'll tell you what, with Rick out here visiting, I got to tell you, it's really instilled a feeling of I got to go back the next time. And I think I will. I'm planning on it, as a matter of fact.
You better.
And I hope I can see some of my friends.
You're going to be sorry.
I agree with you.
Anyway, I'll encourage you. You let me know when it's coming up, and I'll be your cheerleader.
You're going to help pack my suitcase, huh?
No, I don't think I would do that.
Okay.
I've got a pretty good person.
Chris.
It's such great fun.
Oh, God bless you, and thanks for your thoughts this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you. I got to get a weather forecast on here right now, and then I'll take some more calls. Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland and Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin. And Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days, and they're open 7 days a week to take care of your sprains, strains, cuts, abrasions, whatever. Hey, stop in. They can help. They will help at the urgent cares. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
As we hit midweek, it's going to be nice, and it looks like we're going to hold steady on this nice weather as we get through the weekend. Looks like sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the west, right around 15 to 25 miles an hour. We do have a slight chance of some afternoon rain showers or thunderstorms for this afternoon. High of 80 tonight, clear skies, low of 50 tomorrow. Sunny skies, slightly breezy, and looking at a high of 78 with an overnight low of 49. Then as we get ready for the weekend on Friday, sunny skies, high of 84. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Does a great job every day on the weather, Gina. Thank you very much. And don't forget the urgent cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Like I said, minor emergencies, major care. You stop in and see them today. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, don't forget Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert. All your flooring needs, all your carpet, hardwood, vinyl, laminate, tile, everything. And they invite you to give them a call, 436-1722, and they can help beautify your home. Caller, I'll be right there in a minute. Don't go away. Don't forget, they wish you a very, very happy Independence Day weekend with the 4th of July, Magic Valley Carpet in Rupert. And also, Haskin Insurance Service at 629 Fremont Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4141. I'll tell you what, Mike, Dustin, Don, Terry, all there to help you with a combined 50 years in experience. They know what they're doing when it comes to home, auto, farm, life, or health insurance. Give them a call, 436-4141, Haskin Insurance in Rupert. Caller, good morning to you.
Hey, Zeb, I'm running out of time here, and I didn't know if you'd let me talk about the fires.
I will today, but yesterday, I'm sorry, I was engrossed in another topic, and you know me, I'm not going to apologize, but I'm wide open for your thoughts this morning. Go ahead.
That's totally fine. Sure show. Hey, there's been recent ads called Thin the Threat, and there's a forester from Idaho, and he talks about how mismanagement of our forests, and so much of it is the Forest Service, the federal government, mismanaging our forests. And right now, with the height of summer on us, and after all of the moisture, you know, it used to be, now I'm repeating myself, but it bears repeating, that we would get 6,000-7,000 acre fires, and then it would burn itself out because we had sheep and cattle grazing in our forests.
Yep.
And the environmentalists have gotten control over things to the point whether or not it was, you know, what's his face up there that was the architect, I can't think of his name, Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Who would stop these guys from getting their leases to their cattle to graze. But you see, last year or the year before over by Idaho City, we burnt down 160,000 acres. 160,000 acres of forest. And you say, if what fire will burn this year, right now in Utah, they're at 60,000, not 6,000, 60. Once this forest is burnt, you and I will never see it the way it was.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you something.
To solve this problem,
Randy,
sheep and cattle and management. You get the dead wood out of there, let people use it for whatever it is, firewood, lumber, but we don't do anything because they don't want us to get on the land. It's just like you've said in the past. You go up to South Hills, you've been going up to South Hills all your life, and they got roads up there where they say, no, you can't go down this road anymore. We're not going to let you.
Well, you know, whoa. Let me jump in and say something. Randy, hold it a minute. Let me say something. You're going on here. I want to interject something. Number one, on the road closures, it makes no sense to me to have somebody of supposedly higher education and learning about what they're doing saying we've got to close these roads because of overuse. Well, when you close a couple of roads, where does everybody else go? You've got more of a congestion factor. You've got more of a wear and tear factor. And honestly, I think control ought to go back to the states and leave the federal government the heck out of the whole problem. And that's what we saw way back 10, 15 years ago when we had those tremendous, very dangerous fires up by McCall. So let's get it back to state control, and I think we'd be a lot better off.
Well, we've got to get some momentum on this thing because this year, right now, if something occurs, Zeb, there's nothing to stop it. other than Mother Nature and rain.
I agree.
Because it gets to burning so hot and fast. But you see, it's just engulfing. I mean, if you go camping, do you not want to camp in the pine trees?
Well, I tell you what, Randy, I appreciate your call. And you're 100% right this morning, and I agree with everything you said. But as you can look at your little Timex right now as it goes tick-tick, I got to run to the news, but I appreciate your call. Call me tomorrow in the first hour. We'll talk more about it, okay?
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Hey, don't forget our major sponsor, Serving You, because they do the right thing because it matters. Absolutely. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. The best in all the tires you need for your safe driving to see Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred or whomever. And they've got the pickup and the SUV tires, the car tires, everything. Horse trailer tires, boat tires. They've got every kind of tire for your driving need. Stop in, check out all the tread designs, all the sizes. They can and will help you. And they've got the best in brake service with highly trained technicians, along with front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, and above all, the best in service. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland and Burley. Nobody better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run to the news from CBS. They're going to mess up everything we put together the first hour. We'll be back in 7 minutes. All righty, and away we go. Hour number 2 on a Wednesday, June the 28th. Good morning. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Let's hear from them.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho,
let's make our little checklist. We got the potato salad, check. We got all the paper cups and the plates, check. We've got all the tables and chairs, check. Vernon forgot to order the porta potties. You got to have a potty for your party, so don't forget to call Western Waste, always at your disposal, and check out the porta potties for your event, whether it's a family reunion, class reunion, outdoor concert, whatever, and make sure you take care of that now. That should be at the top of your list. All you have to do is call Western Waste Services at 734-6969 and get the potties for your party, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services. Hey, on Mondays, the lovely Miss Vicky of Vicky's Country Gardens has the program called Gardening for Idiots, named after me, and telling everybody about what to do, what not to do, how to do it, and how to fix things up in your garden. I'll tell you what, Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. And they've got all your fruit trees 20% off, and all the bark, rock, and decor items for outside to spruce up this weekend on Independence Day weekend. Enjoy. Get over there today. Vicky's Country Garden in Paul. Wonderful, wonderful lady serving you. By the way, we're headed on in to the great big Rupert 4th of July festivities, and boy, oh boy, they're going to start on this Friday with a breakfast, and that's going to be the Christmas in July breakfast from 6 until 10, and then, of course, all the great music, all the great food, all the great entertainment. My goodness, they're going to have the lawnmower races, the mutton busting. They're going to have, oh boy, on the 2nd of July, this is really going to be something on Sunday the 2nd. They'll feature members of the Idaho 25th Army Band, and boy, is that going to be patriotic. You're going to love it. All of it at the Rupert 4th of July celebration in Rupert. You make plans to attend today. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and man, I enjoy this guy. He's been on a couple of times, and just a really good guest, and that's Bedouin Bob, and we're going to have Bob Dvorak on the phone. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Deb, every day is a gift.
It is, and I take a long time in unwrapping it.
As well you should, and then you got to savor it. So there you go.
You know, I want to compliment you, and Wheels, I need you to turn him up a little bit, please. It's a little low on the line. Bob, you gave me a name to contact a young man that you knew from over in the Middle East when you were over there writing and as a war correspondent. I had a wonderful visit with him on the program, and I wanted to thank you for having Jerry on my program.
Well, I tell you what, Jerry Henderson's one of my favorite people in the world. You know, we met back in back on that battlefield 26 years ago. He's just a PFC. I just saw him recently. You know, he's a command sergeant major, highest enlisted rank in the United States Army, and still serving his country. So he's just a real treat to be around, and he's responsible for me being in Bravo Company as an honorary member.
You know, Bob, I just absolutely am excited to have you on the program this morning and talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that's patriotism, love of country, respect for our flag, respect for our past and our heritage. You, as an author, and you just had your latest book come out called Drive On, The Uncensored War of Bedouin Bob and the All-Americans. What about patriotism? I mean, what do you feel about patriotism, maybe more so than common Joe on the street?
Well, you know, and it's not something you wear on your sleeve or you wear on your lapel pin. You don't have to, show the flag, but you got to show up and do what's right for your country. When you think of something bigger than yourself, when your country calls, you serve. But even as regular citizens, you don't have to be in the military. As a citizen of a democracy, that's self-government. You have a responsibility to participate, to make sure that things are well, and we're preserving our freedoms, that we're preserving what we have. Because if we're not always vigilant, it can slip away on you. So it's the responsibility that a person has to make sure that things are going right. And we've had people fighting for this country for even before there was a country. They had to fight to make it a country, and to fight to preserve it. So it's an ongoing thing. America is an ideal, and we'll keep working to make it as ideal as possible, and to make sure that it's still that shining beacon on the hill.
Let me ask you this question, and this is kind of a figuratively, kind of a out-of-character question, but what would you say if we had an opportunity to have an auditorium of 5,000 to 6,000 of the millennials that are against this country, the crying kind of a gimme, wah-wah millennials? They want everything handed to them. And you could put duct tape over each and every mouth during your speech. What would you tell them to try to sway their attitude so they can realize how great this country really is?
Yeah, hey, that would be a project, wouldn't it? Especially the duct tape part.
Yeah.
Make sure they all turned off their electronic devices so they wouldn't be texting each other in the meantime. You know what? I would go back to a lesson that I think we learned back in the 60s when I was a young person, that there were those who questioned America's policies and disagreed with it, disagreed to the point where they openly protested or ran off to Canada or burned their draft cards and said, no, we're not, just protested everything. Well, that was a tough time, and we got through it, but not because of the protest, but because of the people, everyday people, still doing their job, going to work, living up, taking care of themselves, self-reliant, self-government. Nothing in this world is handed to you. There are no promises here. You got to work for everything you get. That's the beauty of America. You can do anything you want as long as you're willing to work for it and you're honest about it. So to me, I'd say grab a hold of the opportunity, grab the bull by the horns, and hey, get involved. And if you don't like the way things are, well, then make them better. But It's not going to, nothing's going to get done. You sit there and you pout or you moan or wait for the handout or wait for somebody to make sure that you're not going to have any trouble in your life.
Let me ask.
Trouble is part of life. Suffering is part of life. You got to plow through it, blast through it, and you'll be much better off afterwards, after the struggle is complete.
I totally agree with that, and I'm going to save that segment of the program forever. Thank you for that. Bob, what would you say to this question? When I listen to the Israelis and many of the young men over in the Israeli military, they all seem very proud that they were drafted and are serving their country. It's mandatory for the young men. Would we, as a country here in the United States, be better off to re-implement the draft, and would that help the patriotism for this country?
Well, I've thought about this a whole lot, and it may not be a compulsory military service like the Israelis have, and it's men and women. The women play their role too. But I do believe in some kind of national service. Not everybody's cut out for the military. I understand that, but if you served your country, if you took that step forward and worked for it, and I think we regained a sense of America, what it is, what it stands for, and it's not complete. It has to be continually renewed. So I do believe that some kind of compulsory national service would help us reinvent ourselves and what we believe in.
I agree. Bob, I have had the opportunity through my other occupation as a rodeo announcer all across the United States and then special events announcer, and I've announced at the Olympics in Atlanta, Georgia in 1996, etc. I have heard the national anthem played thousands and thousands of times, but I got to tell you, I still get a lump in my throat and tears in my eyes like I did in Atlanta in 1996 when I announced the winner was the United States, and they stood up on that pedestal and they played that national anthem. Oh, I still get the goosebumps. What are your thoughts?
Oh, good on you, because that means you still have a pulse. If you can hear that song and not get the goosebumps, I'm telling you, there's something wrong. I've heard that anthem played on special moments, actually last night at a reception in Washington, D.C. for the military veterans who serve in the United States Congress. But I remember after 9/11, and they shut down all the sporting events, and nothing was going on, nothing was happening. And before every sporting event, like the Olympics, you mentioned that, you hear that anthem, and when they resumed, when this country got back up, took a hit, but got back on its feet, and you could hear the national anthem at a baseball game or before a football game, I mean to tell you that it makes the hair stand right up on your arms.
What would you say, Bob, as a war correspondent that's laid in the sand in the foxhole with the bullets going overhead, what would you say to those that are of the liberal mindset in this country that want to stop the national anthem? They don't like the words and the verbiage in the national anthem. Oh, it's too harsh, and they want to go to some milquetoast national anthem. What would you tell them?
Well, I say if you want to follow Colin Kaepernick, the quarterback from the 49ers, and not get up and stand, if you want to protest, that's your right as an American. We all have that basic right. But don't forget that there were people, men and women, who bled and died and sacrificed and suffered to make sure that you have that right to do what you want to do. It's not something that's handed to you. If you want to do that, go ahead. That's fine. But for me, I stand for the fallen. I kneel for the fallen, and I'll stand for the anthem any day of the week.
What are we going to do to transitionalize the education system in this country so that people can appreciate what was done for them, the greatness of this country, the opportunities in this country? I get so sick and tired of hearing people say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. You can do anything you want in this country if you try, and it's got to start in the school system. How are we going to revamp this thing to tell people this is the greatest country in the world with all kinds of opportunities?
Well, and I'm old school, so I believe it goes back to fundamentals. You lay that foundation right, and you can build a house on top of it. And that starts the education with the history to teach the lessons of this great experiment that happened 200 some years ago, where people said, no, we're not going to have our will imposed by somebody else. We're going to govern ourselves. And if we have to sacrifice, if we have to fight, if we have to, wend our way through this process, that's what we're going to do. But it's up to us. Let's grab the reins and do that. So I think it begins with, do they even teach history in schools the way the way that it was taught to us? That that fundamental knowledge of what it takes to be a responsible human being, and that starts early on in the process. I think kindergarten through first grade and all the way through school. Because if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it, or you're just going to go off in any kind of willy-nilly direction. We got to get on the same path. We got to start walking forward again.
You know, you have been there and done that. You've been on the front lines. You've ate and slept and really tried to protect yourself along with our soldiers out in the middle of a war field. And you've got a book called Drive On, The Uncensored War of Bedouin Bob and the All-Americans. Give us again a little synopsis of that book.
Well, it was a journal that I kept during my time as a war correspondent in the Middle East, and this was Desert Storm, the first war with Iraq. And having had prior military experience and seeing how the people from all branches of the service, working as one, on one team, I interacted with all of them, and especially the grunts, the guys down on the ground who live in the heat, who live in the cold, who live in the sand, and eat that awful food. But they say, bring it on. We can hack it. We can take it. And just just complete respect. And respect is love in plain clothes. The love I have for these people who have done that, it was just an eye-opening experience, and especially when the time came for them to do what they had to do. They didn't relish in it. But they did it anyway because it was a job that had to be done. And if you think there's a job to be done and you're willing, you're motivated, you're dedicated to get that job done, there's nothing can stop you.
What are the thoughts that you had a chance to share with some of these soldiers, like laying in the foxhole, protecting yourself, about patriotism from them? I mean, do they look back on the news and the newspaper and all the accounts of what's going on in our country with the millennials and the gimme crowd, etc.? Is it disheartening for them to be patriotic when they see what's going on at home?
You know what? I don't think so, because I think they block that out. It begins with the individual and with the self. And I remember guys would carry little items with them into battle, something to remind them of the world back home. And one person had just a little slogan that freedom for those who fight for it has a meaning that the protected will never know. So I think they all understand that they're part of this select group, this fraternity, if you will, who have been there and done that, and nobody could ever take that away from them. They wear that as a sense of with pride and dignity, and they're leaders. So you lead, follow, or get out of the way. And if people aren't getting on board with them, they're sure not going to wait for them. They're going to keep doing what they have to do.
Bob, of all the years, and I believe it's 44 years as a journalist, what's been the most, if you can recall quickly on the air, the most rewarding or most patriotic moment that you've personally ever been involved in?
Well, hands down, it was being on that battlefield with our soldiers, our men and women, and the sense of pride that I felt when it was over, mission accomplished, and they said, okay, that's it. And you just look around at the world is at peace again, and the sun comes up, and you say, if we do this job right with overwhelming force, get it over with, and restore the order in the world, then we can proceed with the job that the Almighty put us on this earth to do. So I think that was really the sense of it. That and to when they came home, get off the plane, and to listen to the cheers of the crowd and maybe the military bands playing, and that the round of applause. They say thank you for a job well done, for upholding the values of America and protecting us at home. That just makes me well up with emotion and get a tear in my eye just talking about it, actually.
Now that you're back home and Independence Day, 4th of July weekend looming in the next couple of days, what is a typical, if you will, 4th of July celebration for you, Bob Dvorak? What are you going to do, and how are you going to celebrate it?
Well, I'll tell you, on Saturday, I'm going to be at the Mission Barbecue in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. That's a suburb of Philadelphia. I'll be signing some books. This is it's a chain restaurant, but it's got a very patriotic theme to it. So I'm going to make sure that our men and women in uniform are appreciated and remembered. I'm going to have a picnic with family. I'm going to hug my 5 granddaughters and tell them how much I love them. We're going to go to a parade and wave the flag a little bit, and when the little high school band marches by and plays that anthem, we're all going to stand and put our hands over our hearts and count our blessings for the greatest country in the world, and to make sure that it stays the greatest country in the world.
I've got goosebumps, Bob. Thank you so much. A dear friend of this program, Bob Dvorak. And before I let you go, the book Drive On, The Uncensored War of Bedouin Bob and the All-Americans, tell people how they can get it, where it can be obtained.
Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com, or look up my Facebook page, Drive On. And Zeb, for you taking care of my brother, little brother Jerry Henderson, I can't thank you enough. I know he was just thrilled to death to be on your show because he's a hometown person, used to listen to that K-Bar radio station when he was a youth, and now he's on it. So you did him a really big deal, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are a blessing to this program, and I want to extend to you and your family a big thanks for all you've done. I want to thank you for coming on the show, and also at very short notice this morning to fill in this time slot, Bedouin Bob, better known as Bob Dvorak. God bless you, sir, and come back soon.
You know that. Anytime, Zeb. Thank you for having me on.
All right, sir. I really feel good talking to that man. I mean, everything he said, I've got goosebumps, and I'm not ashamed to admit it right now, and there's a little waver in my voice because that is a patriot. That man has been there to write and record what goes on in the foxholes, on the front line with our military. Thank you very much, Bob Dvorak. Great guest for this 4th of July upcoming weekend. I got to pay some bills right now, and I want to remind you about Ark Animal Hospital. And Wheels, I need you to please turn up the feed line in my ears just a little bit. For some reason, it's a little faint this morning. I appreciate it. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Hayburn, and the number to call, 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses, and they've been voted again Minnecastia's best veterinary hospital multiple years, but again just now. Hey, I'll tell you what, Dr. Bill, Dr. Liz, they can take care of your pets and your livestock. And don't forget, summer is the season for ticks and fleas. You see your old dog on the kitchen floor scratching and itching, don't worry, because he might give them to you, and then you're really going to have to worry. So take care of him today and get those animals into Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Hayburn. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses, 678-1177. Joel Heward and Hanson Mortuary, they are going to be putting on a great big 4th of July Veterans Breakfast at Hanson Mortuary starting at 8:30 in the morning on the 4th before the parade starts. Ho, ho, ho. Have they got a great menu planned for you? I mean, like bacon and cheese, potatoes and crepes, and it's going to be good. And Hanson Mortuary, always there to serve you and your family at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call call. The number to remember, 436-5636. Joel Heward, his family, and his staff, they really treat your family with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity when there's the passing of a loved one. So remember the number and call. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. Really, really nice people. In just a moment, we're going to have Richard Manning on our program, and then following that, next hour, we got Michelle Saylor-Tucker coming on, and John Legato. We got a full plate for the rest of the morning. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold, and they're located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And with the warmer temperatures, all the people are going to be going outside, and they're going to be going to the lakes, and they're going to be going to the rivers. They've got all the watercraft for you over at Let's Ride. And don't forget all the 4x4s, the four-wheelers, my goodness, and the side-by-sides, and all the accessories to go with it. All the clothing, all the accessories, and a super service department to keep you running. Absolutely. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24, between Rupert and the World. It is true. This is where the fun is sold. By the way, I know some other folks over there in the Rupert area that are absolutely looking forward to the great big festivities over there this week and next, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. When you think, and you should think, about your life insurance protection, your health insurance protection, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more, with some very dedicated and responsive people that are helping you, your family, and your business, and that's, of course, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. All you have to do is call the number, make an appointment, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. You call them today. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and I've had this gentleman on the program before, does a tremendous job, and I'm anxious to talk to him, the president of the Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning. How are you doing?
Richard, you've been on the show before, and I've got a lot of respect for your opinions and your thoughts. And it wasn't that long ago, Richard, that everybody was crying the blues when Obama was president. Oh, woe is us. We don't have enough energy. Oh, woe is us. We could be paying $5, $6, $7 a gallon at the pump. Things have changed a little bit, have they not?
They definitely have, and the changes are both based on free markets and based on President Trump taking his foot off the throat of the energy industry by beginning really aggressively to eliminate some of President Obama's kind of really misguided and misdirected regulations. But the first thing your listeners need to understand is that there's actually a perverse effect that President Obama's attempt to drive gasoline prices and oil prices skyward had on the markets. You know, we were looking at $4 a gallon gas. We were looking at oil at $120 a barrel, and what happened was people said, "Gee, if the oil's $120 a barrel, we can actually try this and expand this new way of getting oil out of the ground called hydraulic fracturing." And as a result, we can invest in that technology, and it opened up vast reserves of oil for us to be able to access on our shores because the cost per barrel was so high. And subsequently, they learned how to do it better. These really smart people from free market, out to make a profit, heaven forbid. And, they figured out how to do it better. They lowered their costs, and now their break-even point's about $50 a barrel in North Dakota, and it's about $35 a barrel down in Texas. So you've got so they've actually changed the whole market for oil, and it's directly a result of the perverse impact of President Obama trying to create $7 a gallon gas.
Let me ask you this, Richard. Now, I'm playing a little devil's advocate here. I love the cheaper prices at the pump because I travel more than most. But is there a downside to lower oil prices in our economy and a hurtful side to people that we rely on for jobs and better economic conditions?
Well, the price, the oil industry in particular, has always been subject to boom bust cycles, and that's because, quite honestly, when you have high prices, they drill a lot of wells and they bring a lot of oil out of the ground. When you have low prices, they can't afford, and the oil doesn't make sense to bring out of the ground because it's too costly. It costs them more to bring it out of the ground than they can sell it for. So you always have a boom bust cycle with oil. The difference that's occurred with this in this cycle is that with hydraulic fracturing, they have the capacity to stop the flow of oil through the wells, and so they can adjust output in terms of how much oil is produced without having to cap wells and basically kill the well itself. So it allows them to control the flow a little bit. But yes, you're right. Low prices do in fact impact whether or not certain kinds of drilling is profitable. And so if I were looking at it from a stock market perspective, I'd be concerned about it. But if I'm looking at it from a resource perspective, for the first time in my lifetime, we actually control our own energy future. We're not dependent upon people in the Middle East. We're not dependent upon people around the world. We're not dependent upon shipping lanes. We're dependent upon our own capacity to develop and to grow an industry. And that is a good thing for America.
I love everything you're saying, and it makes me feel proud that I've seen this transition to where we can be and will be energy independent. But let me, again, throw something in the milk here this morning. What about the Middle East? What about the oil-producing nations over there? The only thing that they can do to export to the world is oil. They have nothing else. They have no education system. They have no business system, etc. It's just oil to make their living and try to make their economy. What about them? Are they going to be so upset? Are they eventually going to be so hateful that we could have really the threat of major wars if we stop any kind of oil trade with them?
Well, I think the key to this is that we are engaged in a world economic market with oil. They're not where they don't control the game anymore, but they certainly are competing in the game. And by changing the dynamic where they're no longer able to set prices through, at least domestically, set prices based upon supply, failure to drill, we're now putting them in a more natural competitive environment. And that is and ultimately that's good for the world. It's good for the world economy. It's never good to have one set of nations be able to dictate essentially the lifeblood of the economy and dictate price on that and supply of that. What we're doing through our energy dominance that we're about to engage upon, we're changing all of that. And and is it different? Yes. Is it a little scary anytime you're doing different? It's a little scary? Yes. It's the first time since 73 where we're going to say, gee, we aren't necessarily dependent upon the Middle East for oil. Well, you know what? What have we been doing since 73? It seems like for at least the last 20 years, we've been fighting wars in the Middle East anyway. So at some level, maybe it changes our whole way of looking at the world in terms of what's worth risking American blood and treasure over. And by changing the political dynamic of oil, we may be changing the entire way the world looks at this necessary resource for growing economies. And I can't say this for positive or for the negative. I can just say that the current system has been a disaster, both economically and from a foreign policy perspective.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air, please.
Well, this just shows you what, if you turn people loose in America, free market capitalism, innovation, what we do. See, here fracking was a response to Obama trying to control things like Europe and elsewhere. And think about it. What he needed slapped in the face, that sorry person. And so, but you see, if anybody can withstand these adjustments, it's the free market capitalist Americans. We know how to handle this stuff, and we go out and figure out ways to make it work. And the rest of them are still, with the government intervention. And see, even now fracking in other countries now, and so that helps the supply even more, which would, in essence, lower the price. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Richard. Go ahead.
It's the free market system is what created this energy abundance, and not a government dictate, not top-down government dictate system. Now, and the irony here is that solar and wind to a lesser extent, but solar anyway. I believe that in the future, a solar energy field that is not subsidized, that is not dependent upon government, will actually end up becoming part of our mix, and a realistic part of our mix, because really smart people will figure out how to make money doing that.
Let me ask.
So really smart people figure out how to make money on that, and they'll figure out how to transmit the solar energy more efficiently from where it's generated to where it can be stored and used in the future. They'll come up with better batteries that are more efficient, and all that stuff's going to happen. But it's not going to happen because government mandates, which assure profits. It's going to happen because people are sitting there trying to figure out how to make payrolls, and if they don't succeed in coming up with a better idea, they go out of business. That's the kind of, when you see the edge, you see the abyss of whether you're going to succeed or fail, and you don't have a safety net of the government, that's when you innovate, that's when you risk, and that's when you succeed.
Let me ask you, Richard, our infrastructure, our electrical grids, our economy, and our across-the-board attitude of the United States of trying to be more progressive, and now with Trump administration, try to get on the track to be much more successful. What about the infrastructure? What about the green movement? What about the environmentalists pushing for the solar and the wind, and all the exorbitant money that we have wasted, I'll use that term, wasted on the green energy when we should have been putting our eggs in another basket? What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I would eliminate all the subsidies for green energy, but I also eliminate subsidies for non-green energy. It's a market competitive system, and let it fight itself out. I do think that in some areas, such as in the perhaps retrofitting coal-fired utilities that they shut down in the Ohio River Valley by the Obama administration's war on coal, since that was a direct result of government action, I do think you can justify making some infrastructure expenditures to offset the cost of reopening those plants, since the closing of those plants is a direct result of government action. It's kind of like doing reparations for the attacks that engaged on the coal industry. But when you get down to it, coal will succeed or fail on its own 2 feet. It's either efficient or it's not. And similarly with solar, similarly with natural gas, it's all going to work based upon what's the most efficient way to basically create energy in our country. The challenge that you've brought up is the fact that our electricity grid itself has contracted over the last decade. It's done so very deliberately through the taking coal-fired plants offline, and nuclear plants for that matter offline. And so the contraction of our electricity grid, our electricity capacity, puts us in a straitjacket economically. We can't reindustrialize America if we can't generate the electricity to actually fuel that reindustrialization. So we have to grow the grid, and we have to have it be part of the infrastructure plan that President Trump is pushing. So that's where we really need to be, where we can, and this is where the country needs to go. And I think the markets will dictate that, and we will see some of those coal-fired plants being restarted up. And if it needs a little juice because of the Obama administration destroying that industry, then that's something that may have to happen. But bottom line is, we will grow. We will be able to grow. And if we don't grow this economy, we're going to fail because we'll never repay the debt that President Obama buried us under over the last 8 years.
As far as energy independence or dependence and the electrical grid being able to function in the future with much more being needed from that grid, where are we at right now, Richard, on a 1 to 10 scale? I know through the Obama years we saw a very serious declination of the power of that grid. Where are we at, and how serious is the problem today?
If our industrial capacity today was the same as it was 10 years ago, we'd be running brownouts and blackouts all over the country. That's how serious it is. We are really on almost a red alert here, where we have to grow the electrical grid in tandem with growing the economy, with reindustrializing the nation, and that's very doable. And that's why I point to the coal-fired plants that shut down in the Ohio River Valley. We've got about 360 plants that are scheduled to shut down, of which about 100 have shut down. So we have an immediate capacity to refire up some of those plants in the very near future and increase our electricity generation capacity. And so we do. So it's not a long haul problem. We have some short-term solutions that will work, but then the markets need to take over, and the public utilities need to start being allowed to expand their capacity internally to meet the increased needs of the economy. And those states which encourage that to happen will be the beneficiaries of industrial growth, and those states that stop it will not.
You know, you have also served, and I want to end the segment by talking about this a little bit if I could. You have also served on Donald Trump's transition team in the Labor Department. And when the word labor comes up, I'm talking jobs, and I'm talking people that want to get out and use God-given talents and pursue careers, work hard, and attain the American dream. In the last 8 years, I've seen that totally diminished by the Obama administration. What are your thoughts about jobs and the future of the labor situation in this country?
First of all, government doesn't create jobs. The Labor Department's job should be to make sure you have workforce, that people are safe in the workplace and the like. But most importantly, they should be kind of getting out of the way and making sure the government is, the regulations that are being pushed by other agencies are destroying the job markets. But so that's, first of all, the Labor Department is somewhat misplaced, and that people go there and they think, gee, we're going to create jobs. Well, you don't create jobs in the Labor Department. You create regulations that in many cases hinder the creation of jobs. But that's so. First of all, so the first step is private sector creates jobs. Government tends to stop job creation. So what we need to do in terms of job creation, it's actually why I'm focused on the grid, because we are going to reindustrialize this country. We are going to create jobs that people say, I want to work there. They're going to create jobs that the money's good enough that people say, gee, it's worth going out, getting off of welfare and going and getting a job. So those are the kind of jobs we have to create. And we're going to create those jobs, but the government isn't going to. It's going to be people who live in Idaho who are going to come up with a great idea, and they expand their tool and die manufacturing plant. They expand their fisheries business. They expand whatever they're doing, and they make it better, faster, greater, and they're needing more people to hire. Success breeds success. And I think that's the brilliance what Donald Trump is doing, is he understands success breeds success. And so all these little wins in terms of this factory, some factory saying we're going to stay in America, we're going to increase the number of jobs by 100 jobs. It's small potatoes in the overall scale of things, but people begin to expect success, job creation, job growth, and they value that. And so when you sit there, so people then who are on the sidelines not working will be attracted back into the system, because they'll lose. Some of them we have to cut benefits, so they lose this automatic support system that makes it so they can afford not to work. But secondly, you end up creating a place where they can go to, where they have hope for a future. If we build hope within the American public for a good future and an expectation of the future, then people are being willing to work for it. If we don't have a hope for that, then you might as well sit at home and play video games.
I tell you what, I really enjoy having you on. A lot of optimism here with the president of the Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. Richard, to you and your family, I wish you a very happy Independence 4th of July weekend, and thank you so much for being on the program this morning.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, sir. Thank you. Richard Manning, and I'm going to have him back again. He has worked directly with President Trump on trade issues, and also, like I said, he served on Trump's transition team in the Labor Department. So thank you very much, Richard Manning. Holy cow, I'm running late again. I got to get my weather forecast on here, and it's brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for for well over 50 years. Good people that can and will help you with all your tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, payroll services, retirement planning. The list goes on. And they've got 2 locations to serve you, 1710 Overland and Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
As we hit midweek, it's going to be nice, and it looks like we're going to hold steady on this nice weather as we get through the weekend. Looks like sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the west, right around 15 to 25 miles an hour. We do have a slight chance of some afternoon rain showers or thunderstorms for this afternoon. High of 80 tonight, clear skies, low of 50 tomorrow. Sunny skies, slightly breezy, and looking at a high of 78 with an overnight low of 49. Then as we get ready for the weekend on Friday, sunny skies, high of 84. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Atta girl. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Boy, they can help you, too, if you're starting a business or a partnership. Business owners that want to hire more employees, they can sit down and help you, and they will. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Calls are welcome. I've got a few minutes. Give me a shout on the landline. Love to hear from you. So come on, give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I just know is coming in, I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Dixon Oil Company at 602 South 2nd in Rupert. They wish you a very, very happy and safe Independence Day, 4th of July weekend. Yes, sirree. Dixon Oil has been in business since 1951, and they wish you the best. They've got all your propane and your heating oil and your gas, everything, and they wish you to be safe. Drive carefully, be careful out there. Dixon Oil, 602 South 2nd in Rupert. And also our thanks go out to Mad River Laser. Hello, Nicole. How are you? I got some work for you to do, too. I got to get that over to you. Christmas in July. That's what they're going to do at Mad River Laser. That's right. The entire Christmas line is going to be out. And if you're not feeling festive with just the 4th of July, you will with the Christmas line being out in the store at Mad River Laser. Great place to go, 502 East Street in Rupert. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Again, you know, this holiday comes on a Tuesday this year, and I've heard so many people say, oh, are you going to get Tuesday off too? And I just wonder how many people would want Tuesday off if they weren't getting paid.
You know, I can't answer that question, Keith, because that's kind of speculation. All I'm saying is I just hope and pray that everybody within the sound of my voice really stops and takes their family to a 4th of July parade. And when that trumpet blows for the national anthem or the start of that parade with all of our red, white, and blue flags coming down the street, I hope and pray that everybody stands up, removes cover, and stands at attention and really honors our great flag of the United States of America, and the thoughts and prayers for everybody that has shed the blood, sweat, and tears and their lives for us to be able to celebrate Independence Day.
Well, that was a very good rendition of what I would say, because I am a true patriot. My flag will be flying on the 4th of July, just as it does every holiday. But the point I was trying to get across was that we forgot what we're celebrating when we want extra days off and everything, because that's only to go and play, not to think of how great our country is.
Well, I think that Bob Dvorak in that segment before the last one really kind of summed it up with patriotism and the bubbling up of the eyes and the choke in the throat, looking at that great American flag and all the people that have just given their all for our freedoms. I can't say it any better than he did. I mean, man, I'm looking forward to the 4th of July because it's not just the ice cream. It's not just maybe the family and the picnics and everything else, but I savor that flag and what it means to me and what this country has done for me and all the great things that have happened in my life because I live here in the United States of America.
Yeah, and another thing I am grateful for, Zeb, is when you have your lunch bunch, we don't deviate, or I should say, you don't deviate from the order whether we have a prayer and a national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. And I mean, there is no excuse on your part for not having it exactly in that order. Is that correct?
That's right. It's going to stay that way as long as I'm putting that lunch bunch on. And if anybody wants to complain, they can get right in my grill and they can tell me their thoughts, but it's going to stay that way.
Well, I admire you so much for doing it because more and more events are started by just getting underway. They just don't think about a blessing on those who are going to participate in the activity or anything like that. They paid to be entertained, and that's what they want somebody else to do everything for them.
I agree. Keith, you're always welcome on this program. I got to run, do a commercial, and go to the news. God bless, man. Have a great day. Thank you so much. All right, sir. Hey, don't forget again our friends, and they're going to be on the air tomorrow. I think Deanne's got that all set up with Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center for your family members that might need just a little bit of help. They're located at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. And they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. And you're urged to visit and take a tour and just see how beautiful it is with their backyard patio and all the barbecues that they have, and they attend all the various events in the area. They really care, and they are the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Right now, I'm going to shut things down for about 7 minutes, and we're going to head for the news at CBS, and then we're going to come back with Michelle Saylor-Tucker at 10:06, John Legato at 10:30. We got a whole bunch more left in the bucket this morning, so you stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch, Wheels, take it away. I'll be back in a few minutes. Ho, 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 welcome back. Well, some businesses celebrate Christmas in July. I guess I'm celebrating a little bit of Santa Claus in June. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Right now, Wheels, how about a trip to Elko and the Silver State Stampede?
Nevada's oldest rodeo. The Silver State Stampede roars into Elko July 13th, 14th, and 15th for family entertainment at its best. This PRCA rodeo brings you the thrill of professional riders going head-to-head in one of the world's toughest sports, rodeo. The action kicks off Thursday with the annual kickoff party featuring mutton busting, Old West bronc riding, tri-tip dinner for just $10, and an extra dose of the world-famous Ring of Fear. Head into Friday and Saturday for PRCA rodeo action with the award award-winning Wild Child, Rodeo Clown, and dance the night away with the Jeff Palmer Band. So gather your friends and get your tickets today for the 2017 Silver State Stampede, July 13th through the 15th. And don't forget to wear your pink for Tough Enough to Wear Pink Night on Saturday. Family entertainment at its best with the 2017 Silver State Stampede at the Elko County Fairgrounds. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
There you go, Silver State Stampede. And right now, without further ado, Wheels, did you have a problem, or do we have her on the air?
I'm just waiting for him to put her on. I had got through to a gentleman, and he said that she was ready, but he was trying to get a hold of her.
All right, well, you let me know in just a minute if she's there, would you please?
Will do.
All right, sir. Thank you. Right now, I'd also like to remind you about some of the great merchants over in the Rupert area that are asking you to come on over and share the fun. They're going to have a good time for Independence Day, 4th of July weekend. Rupert Animal Clinic at 200 South Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. Take care of your horses. Make sure they're vaccinated for that West Nile virus. Make sure that all of your animals have their vaccinations up to date, dental work, preventative care, all of this and more. Over at the Rupert Animal Clinic, 200 South Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-9818. And again, our thanks to our buddy, our friend to this program, Senator Kelly Anthon. He wants to invite everybody to come on over to Rupert on the square for all the celebrations, the great food, the fireworks, everything, lawnmower races, mutton busting. Senator Kelly Anthon welcomes you to Rupert for their 4th of July celebration. And last but not least, Haruza Insurance at 723 South 3rd Street in Rupert. Haruza Insurance Agency can quote your commercial and business, auto, home, life, and health insurance today. And they offer the best combination of competitive prices, rates, coverage, and personal service. Don't forget to give them a call at 436-4420. Haruza Insurance in Rupert. Wheels is my guest, ready to go.
Yes, she is, sir.
Thank you very much. This lady has been on my program before, and she is the leading authority on buying and selling businesses, and she's got a book called Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. Michelle Saylor-Tucker, good morning. How are you, Michelle?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
Well, if I was any better, the wrong fat man be wearing my clothes. I'll tell you, that's how good I am.
Well, happy to be back on your program.
Well, it's my pleasure, and you brought up a subject on the cheat sheet that I have that is really close to me because I've talked about it many times on my show about the areas in the southeast and the south that are taking down a lot of the Confederate monuments, General Robert E. Lee, etc., and I'm against it. I think that this is nothing more than political correctness run amok. What are your thoughts?
I cannot agree with you more. I think it's absolutely insane to spend this kind of money, $2.1 million to be exact, in New Orleans to take down these monuments. These monuments have nothing to do with racism. They have nothing to do with crime. They have nothing to do with anything but, like you said, political running amok.
You know, Michelle, I know a lot of people in the South.
Really hear you.
Okay, Wheels, you're going to have to ride the gain a little bit so she can hear me. Is that better?
Yes, it's a little bit better.
Thank you. Michelle, I know a lot of the people in the South, and I've been in the South, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Florida, and there is a feeling of heritage. There is a feeling of culture. There's a feeling of family that goes back generation upon generation. And you can't blame the people in the South for feeling animosity for what's going on right now. What are your thoughts about their heritage?
I mean, I agree 100% again with you. And, you know, I don't always agree, but I seem to agree with you this morning, don't I?
Absolutely.
But I agree 100%. You know, I'm born in California, but I grew up in the South, and it just feels like something's missing. It just feels like, you know, the city cut off an arm or something, because my office is literally a block from Lee Circle, and you can literally see the statues from my office. And now it just feels like the city is not the same anymore. It feels like the culture has been, you know, changed, and changed dramatically, and not for good. obviously for bad. And like I said, none of this, removing the statues doesn't fix the problem. You know, we're 500 police officers short right now. We could have spent that $2.1 million on our streets, on our roads, on our bridges. I mean, we're below sea level, and our streets are not even worthy of driving on. I mean, we all suffer so much car damage because the streets are unbearable. They should spend that money in the streets. They should spend that money to increase our police force. I mean, they need to run the city. You know, government needs to take a step back, and we need to run the city, the state, the country like we run a business. And you need to know how to allocate money and where money should go. And we have the highest crime rate right now in the U.S., even above Chicago. Our murder rate is higher than Chicago right now. We are 500 police officers short. Our streets, you can't even drive on them. So you tell me you want to spend $2.1 million to remove the statues? How does that solve the problem?
You know, let me ask you this. What's the feeling of your friends, your neighbors, and others that live there when they see a whitewashing of history and history being hidden in a back closet someplace? What are their thoughts? What do they tell you?
Well, everybody's pretty much thoughts are the same as mine. This city has so many more problems than removing the statue. And yes, you're removing part of history. You're removing the culture from the city. You're removing what New Orleans was built upon. You're removing what we know New Orleans to be and what New Orleans to stand for. And yes, you're removing all of history. That's horrible. What's even worse than that is not allocating the money appropriately to spend it where the money needs to be spent to make this a better city and a safer city.
You know, when you say that, who really is responsible? Is it
hear you again.
Wheels? You've got to turn that up, sir. And who really is responsible for allocating the funds to the taking down of these monuments? Is it the mayor, the city council? Is there pressure put on by certain interest groups in this country? Who really is pushing this?
Well, in our opinion, you know, we're not inside. We're not inside the walls, and we don't hear the conversations. But in our opinion, I mean, if you talk to anybody in the city, if you talk to different reporters, if you talk to different radio hosts in the city, they would all tell you Mayor Manchlandra. They would tell you he's responsible. They would tell you it's his idea. It's his decision. He's the one who leads the city. He's the one who makes those decisions. You know, again, we don't know if he's getting pressure from any special interest or from anyone else in the city because we're not on the inside track. But from what we see, from an outsider's perspective, it certainly looks like it's the mayor's responsibility and the mayor's decision.
I've got to ask you, and I'm going to change gears a little bit here, but you have written a book called Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. You know business. You understand the climate of business in this country. Since you've written the book and Donald Trump has become president, what are your thoughts about the business climate overall here in the country of America?
Well, in my opinion, the business climate has dramatically improved for the better. It's improved. It's increased. People, most business owners are for Donald Trump. I've met one business owner that was completely against Donald Trump, wouldn't do business with me, wouldn't even talk to me anymore. When she found out I was Donald Trump's supporter and a friend of Donald Trump, she refused to do business with me. But everyone else that I do business with, the consensus is the same. Everybody loves Mr. Trump. Everybody's ecstatic that he's in the White House. Everybody thinks that he's doing an amazing job. Everybody thinks finally this country is trying to run like a business, and we finally have a businessman in office versus another politician. So everybody's positive about it, and everybody feels good about it. And business is actually doing pretty good. Business is doing well, you know. I wish he could get some of the things passed and keep true to his promises, which I know he's trying to do, and trying to get everything passed through Congress, which is another nightmare and another story for another day. But everybody's very positive about it, and I think business is doing better, and we're headed in the right direction.
You know, give us a little thumbnail sketch of what it is like a day in the life of Michelle Saylor Tucker. What do you do with businesses, and what's your everyday job like?
Yeah, so every day's different. No day is the same. Michelle Saylor Tucker does have a family, believe it or not. In addition to my 8 companies, I do have a 6-year-old daughter and a husband and a grandson. So I am pretty busy, and I try to juggle a lot of things and balance a lot of things. But every day is different. I do a lot of radio interviews. I do a lot of TV interviews. We have another book coming out called The Prophets Speak by Siler Tucker, the Business Authorities. We work with clients, and, our passion, everything that we do is centered around helping business owners either plan their exit strategy and sell their business for their desired price tag, or help business owners build their business, fix their business, tweak their business in which to sell for their desired price tag, meaning that, I don't know if you know this, but there's 28 million businesses in the United States. 99.9% of them are small business owners, and 30 to 40% of these businesses will be up for sale at any given time. Only 8 out of these 10 businesses will not sell. 8 out of 10 businesses do not sell. And the number one reason they don't sell is they don't sell for the price tag that the owner needs to retire on or, enter into their next chapter. So what we do is we help business owners plan their exit strategy, fix their business. I actually put up my own money. I partner with business owners. I go in and look at what's working in their business and what's not working in their business. I call it the 7 Ps. And then I will do a current evaluation to tell a business owner what their business is worth today. And then if they want to sell the business for $10 million and their business is worth $1 million, I'll create projections for 3 to 5 years of what a $10 million business looks like, and then I'll create a step-by-step blueprint. I will either consult them to get them there, or I will put up my own money to put up the working capital in which to get them to their desired sales price in 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
So a typical day would be me evaluating business owners, going to board meetings with the current businesses that I own, doing large deals. We do multi-million dollar deals, typically $10 million and up. My firm does specialize in some smaller deals as well, but I personally only work on the larger deals.
I would imagine that you had to, over the last 8 years with Obama, you had to turn into almost a cheerleader to keep people going, keep their dollars up to the point where they were optimistic in their business. I'll bet it was a little tough with all the regulatory rules, regulations, and everything that Obama tried to impose. And now it must be like Moses parting the water with a businessman in as president. Give us the different feeling in the climate of businesses right now today.
Well, it is, and, one of the reasons, if you go back and look at my business 8 years ago, I had one model, and that was one business model, and that was to help business owners sell their business. Because the business climate was so bad and the economy was so horrible, many business owners were not able to sell their business. Many of them were going out of business, which is why I developed my build-to-sell model, which is why I developed a plan to help business owners tweak different things in their business to get their business not only sellable, but to get their business operating in the best manner possible, so that they could get more revenue out of their business. So that whole plan came out of the Obama, regime, and because otherwise I would probably starve to death because we weren't able to sell businesses because the economy was so bad. Now we have more buyers than we ever have had before. There's 5 types of buyers. We have a lot of private equity buyers and a lot of strategic buyers. We don't have a shortage of buyers now. In Obama day, we did. People weren't spending money. Now we have unlimited buyers. We have thousands of buyers that we can create bidding wars. So when we get a good business with high cash flow, we're able to generate anywhere from 300 to 1,000 buyers on each one of these businesses, creating a bidding war, which helps us attain a 20 to 40% higher selling price, sometimes as high as a 60% higher selling price. We just sold a business not too long ago in Texas, did a price between 7.5 to 8.5. We ended up getting $15 million for that business because we had 350 buyers.
Wow.
And, so the economy is so much better now that Trump is in the office. But, I always tell my business owners you have to do 2 things in business. You have to market and you have to innovate. And if times are not good, you don't rely upon the economy. You create your own economy. And you go out there and you create something different, something unique. And that's where my build-to-sell model even came in. And if I would have just sat there like every other M&A advisor, I wouldn't have made much money and I would have probably starved to death. But now we're doing great, and we own 8 businesses. At any given time, we'll own 5 to 25. We build them to sell with our clients.
Let me ask you this, and this may be a naive question, but is there a certain category of business, type of business, or do you go in and visit with any and all businesses of all types?
So there's 2 models, the build to sell and the sell model. My office will look at all businesses to sell. I personally only work on the larger businesses, those that sell for $10 million and up. But my firm, and we have 2 offices. We have one in New Orleans and one in Dallas. We will look, but we sell businesses all over the United States. In fact, all over the world. We have deals in Canada, Trinidad, Colombia, the UK. But we will sell anything that's sellable. As far as me partnering with a business owner, I'm very particular on who I partner with. First and foremost, the business has to service a certain niche. It has to have a good product, something creative, something unique. You know, I'm not going to partner with a pizzeria when there's 100 pizzerias on the block. And the owners have to stay involved, and I have to know that they're still passionate about their business. And I have to know that we have good chemistry and we can work well together and they're ethical. And I have to know that I can grow that market. If I don't think I can grow the business and grow the footprint throughout the U.S. and Canada, I probably won't partner with them.
You know, last question this morning.
We're not industry specific. We're more cash flow specific, and we really want to know that those people are still passionate about their company.
You know, last question this morning, Michelle, and I think this is something I should have asked you in the beginning. How did you ever get started in this line of work for a profession?
You know, it's funny because I never said to myself, I'm going to become a business broker, I'm going to become a mergers and acquisitions advisor, or now I'm a turnaround specialist. I never said I'm going to become a turnaround specialist. I never thought that possible. I actually used to work for Xerox Corporate America, and I always had an entrepreneur spirit. I owned, several small little businesses, nothing major. And then I ended up getting into franchise development, franchise consulting, and franchise sales. I quit my 6-figure position at Xerox. I was actually a regional manager at Xerox, overseeing 80 salespeople. And I quit that position and went full-time into franchise sales, franchise consulting, franchise development. And then within a few years, realized that I really need to also transition into selling companies, because there's so many business owners out there, especially baby boomers, that will not be able to sell their business for a multitude of reasons. And, unfortunately, many of these baby boomers are going to be left with having to close down their doors, sell for pennies on the dollar. Many of them are filing bankruptcy and losing absolutely everything they have. So I said, I can help a lot more people if I transition into selling companies. And I did that for several years. I've been doing this for about 20 years. And then I said, you know what? I need to transition into helping business owners fix their company before we sell their company, since most of these companies are not sellable for a multitude of reasons. So that's kind of how I transitioned into it, and now I'm an MI, which is a Mergers and Acquisitions Master Intermediary, and I'm proud to say that because there's less than 100 people that have that title in the U.S. and only 3 women.
The Great American Dream is alive and well, and the name of the book is Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. Michelle Seiler Tucker, you are always welcome on this program. Thank you. And by the way, where can they find the book? Where are the outlets for the book?
Thank you, Zeb. They can go to SeilerTucker.com. That's SeilerTucker.com. They can also go to BetterBusinessBrokers.com.
Have a great Independence Day.
On Amazon.
All right. And have a great Independence Day, 4th of July weekend. Michelle, thank you so much for being on the program. Come back again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very, very much. There is a lady that is really innovative and knows her business, and the leading authority on business and selling businesses. Sell your business for more than it's worth. Michelle Seiler Tucker. And she's been on the program before. Let's see. I've got something else I want to remind you of quickly. Oh, yes, I got to get this in. Don't forget that many of the merchants over in the Rupert area invite you to come over and celebrate Independence Day 4th of July weekend. Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-1722. They're just off the square, and they've got all your flooring needs, all the carpet, all the hardwood, vinyl, laminates, tile, everything. And they've got professional installation with over 36 years of experience. They are good. Don't forget the name. Call them today or stop in. Magic Valley Carpet, 613 D Street in Rupert, along with Haskin Insurance Services. Oh, my goodness, 629 Fremont Street in Rupert. And, of course, Mike and Dustin, Don, and Terry, always there to help you with all their 50 years in combined experience with the very best of home, auto, farm, life, or health insurance. All you need to do is get a hold of Haskin Insurance Service, your partner in insurance protection, at 629 Fremont Street in Rupert. And they invite you to come on over to the great big huge Rupert 4th of July celebration. We are, in just a moment, going to take a little break and send it back over to our main studios for a 10:30 break for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to come back and talk to an FBI analyst and author, John Legato, and he's going to be talking about this investigatory means and methods of Robert Mueller, checking into any perhaps collusion with the Russian government and any faults that they're trying to find with the Trump administration. We're going to talk to him coming up in the last hour. Tomorrow, I want to remind everybody that at 10:10 we're going to have Cassia County School Days, and then at 10:23 we're going to have Autumn Haven on with Amy's going to be on our program, and then at 10:30 we're going to have Alki Mariluch on from Elko, Nevada, talking about the great big Silver State Stampede. That's going to be coming up in just a matter of days. Right now we're going to send it back over to Wheels at our main studio. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Welcome back into our last half-hour segment, and I'm very honored to have a United States Marine Corps retired, former deep cover FBI special agent, John Legato. John, good morning and welcome to our program.
Give me 1 second, sir.
Trying to make the phone connection, and we'll have that momentarily, I hope. And is he ready to go, Wheels?
Yes, sir, he is.
All right. Once again, we're very honored to have this man on our program, a former deep cover FBI special agent, as I said, United States Marine Corps retired. Good morning, John Legato, sir. Nice to have you on the program.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
You know, John, I guess I'll start first of all and ask you a little bit about when it says FBI special agent. Give us a little background as to what you did, how long you were with the FBI, and what the status is, in your opinion, of the FBI right now.
Well, I was in the Marine Corps in the 60s. I was in Vietnam, 67, 68 as infantry. Left there and worked 10 years with handicapped children, and then went into the FBI as a special agent. Spent 8 years in deep cover with the Bureau. And as far as the current status, it breaks my heart to say, but the FBI has become politicized, which we were never in our politics before that.
You know, John, I sat there and I watched the hearings with James Comey, and I listened intently to all that he said, all the questions he answered, and quite frankly, I thought the man left himself open for a lot of public scrutiny and criticism, and I don't think he did a good job representing himself and the FBI. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he politicized the FBI, and it's ironic because when Mr. Mueller became the director, 12, 13 years ago, we were pretty independent. We were under the Justice Department, but we were independent, and we had a great reputation for our independence and impartiality. Mueller sort of merged us with the Justice Department, and we lost a lot of independence. And it ended with Mr. Comey becoming the FBI director, and first of all, on July 5th, giving an opinion or a recommendation on a case of the Hillary Clinton case, which no FBI director has ever done before, because it's not in our charter to make a recommendation to indict or not to indict an individual. We're fact finders.
When we talk about Robert Mueller and also former FBI Director James Comey, and now Mueller is going to be doing the active investigation into Donald Trump's administration, what are your thoughts about the buddy-buddy campaign, the collusion between those two gentlemen, let alone what he might find out in his investigation?
Well, there's so much wrong with that. I don't know where to begin. But to begin, the special counsel statute shouldn't have been enacted, because it talks about it can only be enacted if there's an underlying criminal offense. There is no underlying criminal offense. It's rumors, anonymous sources, innuendos. So that's to begin with. But then, if it is enacted, it goes into what constitutes a conflict of interest. And it's actually like they wrote the special counsel statute for the Mueller-Comey relationship, because it talks about you cannot have a personal or political relationship with any person that you're either investigating or that is a witness during your investigation. Well, I don't know how Mr. Mueller can stay and not recuse himself, because he has a personal and political relationship with Mr. Comey, who is either going to be a witness or a subject in the investigation for the leaking.
You know, really, John, with your expertise on these matters and all your career and background, I'm going to say something and you can correct me, and I'll take it as a admonishment, because I maybe didn't understand the whole situation. But when I look at the last administration, the Obama administration, and all the problems with Eric Holder, the gun running, and then I look at Loretta Lynch and meeting Clinton on an airplane on the tarmac in Phoenix and all the undercover behind the scenes, don't call it this, call it that. Wouldn't the investigation be better served as to what led up to all these problems with the Obama administration?
Well, I mean, if you're going to look at President Trump for obstruction of justice, you have to look at Loretta Lynch and Hillary Clinton. If you're going to look at Jared Kushner's financial, you're also going to have to look at the Clinton Foundation, which is a continuing criminal enterprise. If you're going to look at perjury for Mr. Sessions, our Attorney General, you'd have to indict Eric Holder, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. It's a case of selective prosecution, and Lady Justice is supposed to be blind.
You know, when you look at this whole situation and all the items that are in the swamp that need to be drained, how in the world are they going to get anything done administrative for the benefit of the American public with all these court cases, all these allegations, all these testimonies? This is going to drag on for years, is it not?
Yeah, it was kind of ironic and somewhat humorous when I think Mr. Mueller said that this would last 3 months. Well, let me explain what happens in 3 months. You have to get a staff, and you're going to get FBI agents. You got to get space. You got to buy desk and paper clips. It'll take 3 months to do that, and then you have witnesses, grand juries, interviews, subpoenas of records. This thing can go on for years, and that's the thing, is that there is nobody that can stop it, and there's no restrictions on it.
What about the president himself, Donald Trump? It's been said that he could make the eviction, if you will, of Robert Mueller and appoint somebody else. But then again, the Democrats would cry foul and say that that's a matter of trying to indicate that he is guilty. What are your thoughts on that? Should he go ahead with this investigation with Mueller at the head?
No, I tell you what, I don't think you're going to get any people that aren't angry with him and screaming for impeachment if he, says it, than if he doesn't. So, but I would at least demand impartiality. I would at least demand that Mueller recuse himself with anything doing with Comey.
I would demand that some of these investigators, these attorneys that he's getting, have one ideology, and that is they're very liberal, and most of them have either donated or worked for some of the targets in the investigation. So I don't know how you can call it impartial, and I don't know how Mr. Mueller can stay as special counsel. I mean, as an individual, I mean, I would feel, hey, listen, I can't be impartial because my dear friend is going to give me a statement, and then the President of the United States is going to give me a different statement, and I have to pick out who's telling me the truth. Because my inclination is to believe my friend.
Absolutely.
He needs to recuse himself.
John, with your background, and I noticed that along with being a FBI special agent, you also teach counterterrorism, and that leads me to ask this series of questions. How safe are we in America today with all those that would do us ill will, including ISIS and the many attacks around the world and including here? What about it? How safe are we, or are we being fed a bill of goods by our government?
Well, the problem is the last administration has actually obstructed counterterrorism investigations. And, I know my new book is called The Near Enemy, and it's about lone wolf terrorists. And it's listed as fiction, but it's not. And it goes over what you're asking is, how vulnerable are we? There are 7-8 things that we can do that could mitigate lone wolf terrorist attacks in the United States by 70 or 80%. And part of the problem is the government. Let me give an example. President Obama initiated, I think it was an executive order or a consent decree about surveilling mosque or Muslim organizations. So you got Tamerlan, the Boston Marathon bomber, who's at the Boston Mosque a year or two before the Boston bombing, saying what he was going to do. He was screaming jihad. But we weren't able to develop informants at mosque, where a lot of the radicalization goes on. We have this thing called the watch list, and there's hundreds of thousands of people on the watch list, but it's not a stop list. So to land on a watch list, you have to have you have to be a suspect in a terrorism case, whether it's a funding or whatever it is. So every day, thousands of people on this watch list come to our ports of entry, and the customs agent sees a red flag and says, "Why are you coming? Why are you coming to the United? Why are you visiting?" I'm visiting my cousin. Have a nice day. And they enter. No one stops them, but more importantly, nobody's watching them. So this watch list is a feel-good thing. It means nothing. I mean, I can go on and on, profiling, a dirty word, but an effective investigative technique. So many things we can do that if the government just gets out of the way.
John, related to that, and we live in an area here in southern Idaho where there has been an open arm for the refugees to come in and take up residence here. I have spoken out against this for quite some time. I don't think we have the vetting process. I don't think we have the safety and security of really knowing who these people are, i.e. what's happened already in Minnesota and other states. What are your thoughts about just an open arm policy for these refugees coming here from the Middle East?
Well, if you listen to when President Obama was in and what people were saying on the left is that there's a 2 to 3 year vetting process. Now, if you look at that closely, I adopted 2 children from Catholic Charities, and I went through a nun. And in a lot of these cases, it's not the government vetting these people. It's actually Catholic Charities and other similar organizations. So as an FBI agent, when I would do a background investigation, I had databases that I could check. I had references. I had paperwork from these people. The refugees have no database. These governments weren't even governments with any depositories of information. I mean, so you have zero information on these people, only what they tell you. So I don't know how we can vet them, and if you're going to do it, maybe women and children or intact families, but I would not let a male between the ages of 16 on into the United States without some documentation.
John, are you surprised with your professionalism in this area? Are you surprised at the increased acceptance of Muslims in this country and their beliefs, the increase of perhaps trying to put Sharia law into acceptance here in this country? Does this shock you that this is becoming so dominant in this country?
Oh, well, listen, there's a simple formula. Immigration minus assimilation equals segregation and then eventually invasion. So the example is I'm the grandson of Italian immigrants, and it took them half a generation to assimilate. We couldn't speak Italian. We had to celebrate American holidays. And my father went back to Italy and fought against Mussolini Italians. He didn't come back to the United States and try to institute Italian law. So what I'm getting at is you have large Muslim populations coming here, and they're not assimilating. So you're creating two Americas. And what happens is you could only look at Europe to see what's going to happen here, because Muslims, for the most part, the majority of Muslims will not assimilate. So you're going to create two Americas.
You know, John, with your studies on this and this new book called The Near Enemy, when people buy that book and they read the story, what do you want them to take away from your book so that they'll remember the gist of what was in it?
Well, right now, as we're having this conversation, there's investigations of lone wolf terrorists in all 50 states. I've been retired a while, but about 6,000 active. People are planning to kill us right now. And the government, our government, and politicians are preventing this. If they read the book, they will see 6 or 7 steps that we can do that aren't earth-shattering, that could stop body bags being filled with Americans, women and children, because that's the targets of terrorists, is women and children. So read the book and maybe call your congressman and say, how come that law enforcement needs a FISA warrant to follow somebody from social media to the dark web if they're preaching death and destruction? Why do we have a watch list if nobody's watching them and we're just, I can go on, but it's all in the book, The Near Enemy.
You know, I've noticed, John, I got to ask you this last question, but I've noticed that when I've had various politicians, senators, and congressmen on this program, they almost have a naivete about what's going on. They seem like when they wear the 3-piece suits and the wingtip shoes, they still don't understand the threat is out there. What do you think about our congressmen and senators? Do they really understand how serious this threat is?
They really don't, and I call it beltway delusion, and I think when Mr. Comey said that all the agents, the rank and file, loved him, he was mistaken. All the agents inside the beltway at FBI headquarters might love him, but the agents in Topeka, Kansas, and Idaho don't, and I think a lot of politicians have this beltway delusion that some of them have advocated that we find these potential terrorist jobs and education. I mean, I don't know what to say to that other than, it's ludicrous, it's insane, and it's illogical. So they have no idea.
John Legato and his new book, The Near Enemy. Now, John, where can people obtain a copy of this book?
It just came out yesterday. You can get it on Amazon, Simon & Schuster, Post Hill Press. If you type in John Legato, Ligato, Amazon, anywhere else, Barnes & Noble, but probably Amazon's the easiest way.
All right. John Legato, author and a former deep cover FBI agent. I want to thank you for coming on the program, and I wish you a very happy Independence Day, 4th of July weekend. Please come back in the future. I'm going to get a copy of your book, and then we'll go over it the next time. Thank you, John.
Yeah, my pleasure. Please do, and be safe yourself.
Thank you, sir. God bless. Thank you very much. There's a man that tells it like it is, straightforward, a former deep cover FBI special agent and USMC retired John Legato, and the name of the book is The Near Enemy, and I'm definitely going to get a copy of that book. Oh my, I'm definitely going to give you the weather forecast too. At Wheels, I've got a favor for you. Can you get on the air with me real quick?
Yes, sir.
Can you get Toby Keith and the Angry American? I'm going to do a little something different this morning. After the weather forecast, I'm going to give our good spiel about our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and then I'm going to have you play Toby Keith and then wrap it up with another song. But I feel really patriotic this morning as we get ready for Independence Day, and I'm going to ask you if you'd do that for me, will you?
I can. While I'm on the mic right now, would you just don't care which type of patriotic?
No, I said Toby Keith and the Angry American, if you have it. I'd really appreciate that, okay?
Angry American?
Yeah, I'll put a boot in your you-know-what, that song. You remember it. I'll do the weather quickly, and then you can check that out. Don't forget Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. And go to their website, scarromeats.com. All the delicious meats. Woo, boy, have they got them all. I mean, they've got a prime rib over there that'll knock your socks off. They've got all the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst. They've got the buckboard bacon, a leaner, more economical, traditional bacon. Oh, my goodness, you're going to love it. It's good. And all of this and more at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
As we hit midweek, it's going to be nice, and it looks like we're going to hold steady on this nice weather as we get through the weekend. Looks like sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the west, right around 15 to 25 miles an hour. We do have a slight chance of some afternoon rain showers or thunderstorms for this afternoon. High of 80 tonight, clear skies, low of 50 tomorrow. Sunny skies, slightly breezy, and looking at a high of 78 with an overnight low of 49. Then as we get ready for the weekend on Friday, sunny skies, high of 84. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, with Don Scarrow and the crew. Good people. I've got to get Don on this program. Maybe if he comes over, he'll bring something to eat. And I hope so. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarro's Meats. Oh, boy. We're going to also tell you real quick about our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. I know you're getting ready to leave here maybe tomorrow, and you're going to bust out of here and go on a road trip. Maybe you're going to see Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred down in Arizona or whatever. Hey, you got to have safe tires. And they've got all the tires for your pickup, your SUVs, your passenger cars, your camp trailers, boat trailers, horse trailers. You don't have to go anywhere else. They'll take care of you. They've got the best in brake service with highly trained technicians. They've got the best in shocks and struts, front end alignments, and batteries. They really care. They do the right thing because it matters. They want to make sure that you have safe driving on your trip. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. They are the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Let me check with Wheels. Did you find my song for me, buddy?
I finally did, yes.
All right, well, here's what I want to do. I want you to play that song and then wrap it up with a little extra music as bumper music. And I'm just going to say to everybody, look at that flag and treasure what you have here in this great country, the United States of America. We'll see everybody tomorrow at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch. And remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. Wheels, take it away.